So like I said yesterday, I rode to the local Harley Davidson dealership, New River Harley Davidson here in Jacksonville, North Carolina. And lo and behold, they had a Harley Davidson LiveWire. So I talked to Johnny inside, and he said, I asked if I could do a YouTube video, and he said, yeah, sure, no problem. So rode my 2018 Zero SR over, and I thought I'd do a little review of both of them. First impressions, LiveWire, it's pretty awesome. It's pretty cool looking. You can definitely see that see why it's a little bit more expensive than the Zero SR, and we'll get into that. What stuck out to me most from this view here, the dimensions are very similar, but the LiveWire is just so much beefier, and you'll see it when I do a side view. It's got so much more mass than this does, and when I rode it from the front of the dealership to the back here out of the wind, you can really feel that weight and that heaviness. Yeah, it's beefier. You can tell that the components there's a lot more kind of going on with the Harley Davidson LiveWire. I guess a good comparison would be more like, think Tesla, think like just pure simplicity and minimalism, and think more traditional automotive Harley Davidson, like American type bike kind of thing, even though Zero and Tesla are about as American as you can get. It's really well designed, and it's a really good looking bike. Now, the girth is, I keep saying girth, the size of this and the overall, yeah, the girth of this is pretty incredible. So up here you have level 3 charging capability. My Zero only has level 1. You have level 1 charging capability and level 3 charging capability with this bike. Access via here. No clutch, obviously, it's an electric bike. No shifter, obviously it's an electric bike. You have the RES or RESS, I'm not really sure, the rechargeable energy system. So in here is the battery, so you got charging infrastructure, battery infrastructure, and then the motor and cooling infrastructure down here, okay? This is liquid cooled, but what I was told is that the liquid cooling is for the level 3 charging only. It doesn't actually cool the motor or the battery system. I could be wrong, but that's what I was told. Why does the charging need cooling? Well, level 3 it's a lot of volts, okay? So level 3 DC fast charging. This bike can be recharged in about an hour via level 3 if you can find a level 3 charger. But that level 3 gets very hot, so it needs some type of what's the opposite of passive? It needs some active cooling for that. One thing that I complain about, or not complain, but talk about on my bike is that it's very nice. It has a level 1 cord in the bike, and you can charge level 1 anywhere you find an outlet. And that was one of my concerns with this, is like, well, where do you put, if you just want to charge level 1, how do you do that? Because you have to have a J1772 connector on top. But he showed me, Johnny showed me on the back here, underneath the seat is actually, I'm not gonna take the seat off because I don't want to mess with that. There's actually a level 1 charger with a J1772 connector, so you can charge level 1 in a pinch if you need to with this bike. It's underneath the seat, which is cool. I didn't know that. So like I said before, charging, battery, motor. Now, I don't see how this big piece under here is the whole motor. If you look at mine, I'll show you that in a second. Mine's like the size of a watermelon. It just sits right kind of in the bottom of the bike, so the belt goes right through here. And it looks like, yeah, so right here is where the belt starts. So unless there's like complicated gearing in here, and there shouldn't be because it's 1 speed, it's an electric bike, I don't see how this whole thing here is the motor and how that propels the bike. I'm thinking the motor's actually right here. There might be a couple of little gears here to transfer the power up to the, I don't know what it's called, whatever. So I'm thinking this is more maybe cooling infrastructure, but either way, it's a lot of mass down here. My bike doesn't have anything like that. My bike just has the battery and then the motor, essentially. Rear brake, pretty standard. You can't see 2 up on this. It's got fully adjustable rear suspension. I'm sure the front suspension is fully adjustable as well, but don't quote me on that. I don't know where you would change the fluids on this bike, but my bike only has the rear brake fluid like this does, and the front brake fluid up here, same as my bike. But this, since this is liquid cooled, it does have coolant in it, and I don't know where you change that. But obviously, no oil. There's no engine, so there's no oil changes, no spark plugs, none of that nonsense. What else? What else? Just overall, just a lot more going on than on the Zero. We'll see if it's worth it when I take it out for a ride in a second. So real quick, like I was saying, because I'm doing kind of a comparison of these two, like what do you get for $15,000 more on a LiveWire, other than the Harley Davidson and nicer components? They're just nicer. They're gonna be nicer. They better be for 30 grand. So the Zero here, all you have is the battery. Under here is the integrated charger. I think it's like 1.3 or 1.5 kilowatt charger. The motor sits right here. It's about that big, about as wide as the bike. Sits right there, connected directly to the rear wheel via belt, just like the LiveWire. Rear brake, 2 up, about the same size as the rear seat. I mean, most Harley Davidsons, in fact, most bikes in period don't have very big rear seats, so about the same size rear seat. It's just a different profile of these bikes together from the side. So the Zero has a regular halogen light bulb. Harley Davidson has LED. Harley Davidson has dual front disc brakes with Brembo. The Zero SR only has one front disc brake. It's a J1. Both have ABS. The LiveWire has active traction control. Actually has a bunch of different kind of rider safety features. Zero SR has none of that. So this bike you can probably be a little bit more dangerous on, ride a little bit more recklessly, I would say, than the Zero SR, because in the Zero, there's nothing that's going to save you if you're stupid. This bike will save you if you're stupid. All right, let's talk about the controls and the display real quick here. So before I start on that though, charging right here, you got your standard J1772 outlet. Flip this back, that's your level 3 charging right there. So top of the bike, just like a normal bike, put your fuel in right there. That closes down, bam. Like I said, nice materials, nothing crazy here. So when you're thinking these controls, think pretty much standard Harley Davidson. It has cruise control, press in to activate, down to set, plus 1, -1. Left turn signal, right turn signal, you got your mode button here. Horn, traction control options, high beam, low beam, and high beam flasher. All right, pretty standard. Obviously no clutch, very nice. Okay, so how do we start the LiveWire? All right, well, you're gonna press the kill switch to on. It's gonna take a second, just like the SR. The SR takes a second to boot up. All right, raise side stand. Turn on. Raise side stand. So it's like starting an engine. Harley Davidson wanted to make it similar. You gotta press and hold the start button. Starts up, it's on, it's ready to go. I'm not gonna talk too much about the display. There's not really talk much about, you got your different modes, you got your different traction control settings, gives you turn signal indicators, time, state of charge, speed, ride mode. If you turn cruise control on, it turns cruise control on. Pretty standard. Now I don't know if you can hear that, but it's making like a little like hum noise. So like I was saying about the license plates, you got this type of style and then this type of style on the Zero. Harley Davidson has a little bit thicker, beefier rear tire, kind of like the SRF and SRS has for Zero's lineup. What else? So I guess this is kind of interesting. The drivetrain is on the right side of the Harley and on the left side for the Zero. I don't know why manufacturers make that decision. I'm sure it just doesn't. Maybe that's something Harley does with its smaller bikes, but I don't know. You can tell just from this rear view that the Harley Davidson is much more beefy. I think it looks really cool. When I say it looks better, I don't know. Of course, it looks really cool to me, but I'm used to the Zero. I think the Zero still looks pretty cool. I'm gonna talk about a couple more things, and I'm gonna take the LiveWire out on the road and give it a little test ride. So let's talk about storage space. LiveWire, there really is none. There might be a little bit underneath the seat where the charge cord is, but you're pretty much stuck to your pockets, or you have to buy an accessory sometime. Zero, like I've demonstrated many times before. It's a whole big storage space right here. All this is storage. It's really nice. Like most Harleys, there is a key fob, not an actual physical location to turn the bike over. The key fob is just here for this demonstrator. But unlike the Zero SR, my bike, it doesn't have a key. So as long as this is in close proximity, turn the bike on and go. Pretty simple, except for now you have to put a battery in this thing, which any of us who drive any newer car, same thing. So what's my initial impression of the Harley Davidson LiveWire? Well, it's awesome. It's cool looking, it's very futuristic, but yet it maintains that kind of classic Harley look and feel, which is kind of it's a really difficult balance. And it doesn't sound like that, I guarantee you. And if it does, I don't want it. So now I'm gonna go take it on the road and enjoy a little test ride. See you when I get back.
Well, that was awesome.
So let's talk about power and regen. So it's got 4 modes. It's got eco, rain, some kind of road mode, and then sport mode. I drove it mostly in sport mode, okay? So the power is, let's put it this way, it's more powerful than the Zero SR. It'd be interesting to compare this to the Zero SRF, Zero's new motorcycle, as far as power goes, because the SRF had a lot more power, a lot more top end power, but this has a lot too. I think this might have a little more. It's fast, let's put it that way, very fast. 0 to 60, probably 3 seconds. 60 to 80, way quicker than my Zero SR, so that top end power is there. Regen is extremely strong, and I want to say it's all regen. Maybe some of the friction brakes are there automatically off the throttle, but the regen is so strong that it literally slows you all the way down to about a stop. My SR will slow me down to about 5 miles per hour, and then I got to put the brakes on to get her all the way to the stop. So in that way, it's kind of like a Tesla. I really liked. One little issue I have, and this is something I've always had an issue with for Harleys, is the turn signals. The turn signals on the SR, like, see, noisy bikes, they screw everything up. On the SR, like a lot of Japanese bikes, the turn signals just on the left side, left, deactivate, right, deactivate. Harleys, they have right turn signal, left turn signal, and when you're on the throttle trying to hit the turn signal like to change lanes or something, it's just like it's just awkward. I've never liked that. Anyway, this thing holds really well in the 60 to 70 mile per hour range. Like, it's not stressed at all. Like when I'm on the highway on my SR, like it feels like it's having to work really hard to maintain that speed. This motorcycle just cruises. It cruises very nice. Let's talk about handling. I was afraid the more weight would be an issue, but it's not. It feels very planted, and I think it needs to be for as much power as there. You can lean the bike over easily. You can flick the bike over. Wasn't hard. No issue there for me. Overall, just a really good product. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So if you want to see a side-by-side comparison of specs, the important specs from my Zero SR to this bike, I'm going to show you those here. So anyway, as you can see, the rated range of this bike compared to my Zero SR is actually less, even though this has a bigger battery capacity. I believe that's the case because of the weight and the complexity of what's going on here compared to the SR. The extra weight on an electric bike just kills your range. Anyway, so I rode pretty hard. I rode about probably 8 to 10 miles, and the battery life depleted more than 8 to 10%. So if you're looking at 1% per mile, that would give you about 100 miles of range, which is pretty average with like electric bikes. This gets a little less when you're riding hard. But honestly, again, for the type of riding that a lot of riders do, that's not going to be an issue. If you go out for like a 20, 30, 40, 50 mile ride, which in my mind is a pretty good ride, this bike's going to suit you just fine. Now, if you want to ride 200, 300, 400 miles a day, take road trips, obviously not the bike for you unless you have level 3 charging mapped out along your route. let's talk about seating position. The seating position is better than the Zero SR-F when I rode it. I like the seating position. I wouldn't say the SR, my SR is a little bit more comfortable. This is just a little bit more leaned over, and you feel a little bit, the pegs are a little higher, so you feel a little tighter. Not an issue, I liked it. I wasn't uncomfortable at all in any way. One interesting thing that Harley did with this bike is they put like a little like a hum. Like, I don't know if that's so it feels like more like a Harley or so that you know it's on, but let's see if I can demonstrate it here real quick. It's really weird. It's so subtle that it's almost not there, but when you notice it, to me, it's kind of annoying. It's like they wanted it to feel like the pulse of an engine maybe, but it feels nothing like that, and just kind of, I don't know. I don't agree with that choice. Let's talk about the sound of the bike. When it's on and standing still, there's just kind of like this little like hum, like air escaping. I don't know. It's just a little hum. It's not annoying. I kind of like it. It's okay. When you ride the bike, yes, there is noise. It's just kind of like a whir, a really futuristic kind of cool sounding whir. No issues with it. I liked it. It was fine. It's not like overtly noisy to be like a regular bike or whatever. It's got a nice sound. That's all I'll say. It's really hard to describe. Yeah, if I had 30 grand, I would consider buying a Harley again. This is definitely a great product. Final thoughts. Well, if you've got 30 grand to spend on a electric motorcycle, buy the Harley Davidson LiveWire. It's well worth it and you won't be disappointed. However, if you're on a budget or you might not have $30,000 to spend on a toy, these are both toys, I'm going to call them toys, you might be better off looking at the Zero or a gas-powered bike. I did say once that I would never have a Harley again, but if Harley Davidson could get the price point of this bike down to around $20,000 or less, I think this thing would sell like hotcakes. It's a great product. Harley Davidson did a great job. I can't say enough about it. It's cool looking, it's futuristic, but yet it retains that heritage of a Harley Davidson, which I really appreciate. And even someone like myself, who had a Harley for about 4 years, can acknowledge. Am I about to trade in my Zero SR for a LiveWire? Unfortunately, no. If I were to trade my Zero in right now, it'd probably be for the Zero SR-S. But gosh, you know, if you have the money, you got $30,000 to burn a hole in your pocket, and you want to have a fun little electric motorcycle to ride around on, I can't recommend it enough. It's been USMC Saxoki. Thanks for watching, and check out my other videos. I got some great videos on my Zero SR that you should check out. Link in the description below, and appreciate you watching. Have a fantastic day. Just one final shot of the LiveWire. Fun bike, fun bike. That's the side profile LiveWire. Side profile of the Zero. Let's back out a little bit there. Both great machines.